warm welcome to everyone for this webinar where we are going to talk to you about this very, very exciting DPI for People and Planet proposition. My name is Saibal Chakrabarti. I'm a senior partner with Boston Consulting Group, and I'll very briefly introduce the group present on the call and then hand over to the respective speakers to take us through the discussion. So we have Yushi Nagano. He is the head of JICA DXLab, and JICA DXLab, as many of you would know, is one of the founding partners of the DPI for People and Planet initiative, along with Co-Develop. And from Co-Develop today we have Aura, who will be walking us through a large part of the presentation, along with Daniel from the Center for Digital Public Infrastructure, or CDPI as we call it. So between Aura and Daniel, they will anchor a large part of the presentation, along with Nagano-san. Have already introduced myself. We also have a project management team from the Boston Consulting Group on this call, led by Aditya Sharma, and there is also Sanchit Kohli on the call. And going forward, these are the people who are running the process, and will be available to address any of your downstream questions as we go along the competition. So without much further ado, maybe just a very quick icebreaker. I know we have 73 participants now, so that's a very large number. May I ask you folks to just join on Slido? You can just scan that link that you see on the top left hand corner, and if you can just enter the city that you are from. We are just keen to find out how global the room is. We are pretty sure it's very global, but let's find out how global it is. All right, Aditya, how much time do we have?
We'll give a minute. I see a lot of people also typing on the chat. Would be great if you can just use your phone to scan the Slido code and
that'd be very, very helpful, folks. But we can already see the breadth from Kenya, Zambia through to Hyderabad, Portland, Oregon. Quite awesome. Jamaica, Bengaluru, Pakistan. Wow. We have Argentina. We have Japan. Nagano-san, I hope that's not you, but someone other than you.
Mine's Jakarta. Yeah.
Okay. For today, it's Jakarta. Okay. Great.
I think we have a very diverse group here, and thanks a lot to all of you for joining from different cities and geographies. Really happy to see such a diverse crowd. I think we'll just move ahead. Another Slido question. You have heard this about this challenge across different platforms. That is the reason you are here. We just wanted to understand one thing that comes to your mind when you think about this challenge. So any thoughts, one word, would be happy to hear that.
Yeah. Just scan the Slido and put in the first thing that comes to your mind. Pretty impressive. I think people are already are quite far in understanding the concept of DPI. I can see a lot of that coming along. Cultural sovereignty. Excellent. Should we?
Yes. I think we can go ahead.
Yeah,
yes.
I think. Look, this is a fantastic set of concepts that you have already articulated, And I think it makes the job of our presenters quite easy because a lot of these are intrinsic to DPI. So, very quickly coming to this concept, what are we aspiring to do? What we are trying to do is really to build the first of its kind community globally around DPI and climate. So digital public infrastructure has been around for a while. Climate and sustainability has also, being a very big theme for a large part of the last decade. What we are trying to do is to bring the two together. So how can we make a difference in the climate and sustainability space using DPI? So we have collaboration with 30 plus partners across the globe. You can see the founding partners: JICA, Gates Foundation, Co-Develop, CDPI, and ourselves, Boston Consulting Group. And we are partnered with COP30, which is due in Belém in the later part of this year. We also have a large set of network partners, and these network partners bring in very, very valuable mentoring skills in the space of climate, in the space of DPI. So as we go further down the road, you will be able to avail the services of many of these network partners as you think about your solutions, fine-tune your solutions, etc., etc. And this list is growing, so we intend to keep building on it as we go along. Right. So today's agenda, I think there's an overview of the DPI challenge, which we will spend the first 10-15 minutes on. And then there's an introduction to DPIs and what it means for the challenge. And then, the last 20 minutes for Q&A. As always, keep questions flowing on the chat box as well. We will be monitoring the chat box, and we will pick up the questions for there. So without much ado, I'll hand this over to Nagano-san to take us through the DPI challenge overview. Over to you, Nagano-san.
Sure. Great. Good morning, good afternoon, or for some of the participants, good evening. Thank you very much for the participants. I'm quite excited to have this kind of diverse participants from all over the world. And this actually means a lot for this event, for the COP30 DPI4PP Innovation Challenge. And my name is Yushi Nagano. I'm head of JICA's DXLab, leading this entire work together with my cohorts in a different organization lying up here. I just want to a little bit iterate and highlight some of the key message and why this event matters to you and to the society and to global. And first, the potential for DPI, DPG innovation in climate actions. I believe that many of you have, to some extent, have heard about it. There's a public infra, there's public goods. I think it's global phenomena, and now you're also interested in the climate side. And you know that the DPI and DPG is apparently critical, very critical to catalyze for the broader climate actions and unlocking bit finance, bit more broader use case and innovative solutions. But and some progress has been made in the last couple of years. Prototypes, some use cases, and MVPs have been emerged, and with JICA and with CDPI and co-develop Gates Foundation have been evolving that kind of early use cases and emerging, some early adoptions, but the not yet full adoptions and the broader use case have been found. And this is exactly where we want to really further drive and make bring the discourse of a DPI, DPG onto the climate, onto different level through this challenge. And you are the one who will be the one to explore and make the global discourse onto the next level and create innovative solutions on top of it. And object of this DPI4PP Innovation Challenge is broadly three. One is creating global buzz, momentum around climate people and DPI, DPG tech people, which are not necessarily always coexisting, and now creating the very first DPI for climate, DPI for people and the planet. We would like to create a global momentum to really push forward this agenda. And second, through this, we are surely committed to create and further develop the community of practice And you are not alone, and you already now on this platform, you have on this call, you have like 100 participants, but we believe that there are a lot of thousands of believers that we can do a lot on this DPI, DPG, and climate. And the second objective is to create and build a community practice to further push and accelerate action in climate and DPI. And third, this global buzz and the community creation will never be happened with certain key use case and actual project conceptualization and push for the real implementation. And this is the third one, that this is not only about creating your friends or create a global buzz. It's all about real use case building and implementing over it. And please go to the next page. So that's the objective, a global buzz to community creation to the actual implementation of the use cases. For that, what is then the differentiation? What is the unique on this opportunity to you to participate and make yourself exposed? We believe three things. One is that this is literally the world first DPI and climate focused challenge. And we have seen bits and pieces of the certain innovation challenge and community practice, but this will be, and we already have a lot of more than 30 plus network partners and global donors and key stakeholders like ourselves are pretty much on board. And this is the very world first DPI climate focused challenge that you want to highlight yourself. And the second, it is not a one-shot journey, and we never want to make the beautiful presentation and make a fuss and that's it. And that is not what we want. This is a journey, and we JICA and together with CDPI co-develop Gates Foundation, BCG, and all the stakeholders right make this a kind of journey. And 2025 will mark as the first year, and we will not stop it, but rather we will follow up actually implementation, second iteration, and creating broader, bigger community of practice. And you will be the first one to latch on to this exciting journey. And the third one is, as I already have touched upon, this event will be anchored by really key ecosystem partners with deep expertise, and you will get a benefit and enjoy a lot. I'm 100% sure that once you join and get more in depth of this process, you will be exposed and get to enjoy with a lot of deep expertise, DPI gurus and climate people's experts, and broader, wider ecosystem to let you further drill in onto bit on the a lot of learning as well as a more practical development of your products with those expertise and experts of the ecosystem. So again, welcome, and this is an unprecedented journey for you, and we will be laying out next 4 months is very tight schedule going forward, but this journey will not betray you and will give you the unprecedented, unexpected, experienced joy and real opportunities to make impacts to global through DPI and climate. Thank you very much, and passing over to Aditya and Cyber for further deliberation of the program.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Nagano-san. Aditya, do you want to take us through the next steps? Aditya, you're on mute.
So sorry. Sure, I will invite actually Aura to take us through the rest of the section. But before Aura does that, I would request the participants to actually start putting their questions in the chat window and in the Q&A section, so that we can start to think about your questions and also take a lot of questions in parallel. So please feel free to sort of start putting your questions. We will take at the end, but please feel free to start jotting down your questions. Aura, over to you.
Thank you, Aditya, and hi everyone. I'm super excited to be here, so thank you so much for having me here. I work at the investments team at CoDevelop, and we're really excited to support this initiative. So bear with me, I'm going to share some details and key information about the challenge. So let me walk you through what the DPI4PP Innovation Challenge is all about. So first, as you heard already, it's a global call for innovators to design solutions that address climate challenges by using DPI and digital public goods. The challenge is not only about tech, it's about rethinking how we tackle these complex climate issues with foundational digital systems that are open, inclusive, and scalable. So I love that I saw scalability as a key word that some participants added at the beginning. So basically, we're looking for actionable ideas, as you can tell, and prototypes that can show real potential. So here's what you need to know. Who can apply? We welcome startups, nonprofits, social enterprises, academic institutions, really any organization working on innovative climate solutions. What are we looking for? We're looking for solutions that will be evaluated based on 4 things. The first one, alignment with the DPI4PP climate goals. Second one is real-world feasibility. The third one is functionality and ability to solve the problem, and I'm going to tackle those criteria later. And the fourth one is soundness of the proposed approach. So based on those criteria, what's the prize about? Selected winners will receive up to $100,000 in grants. They also will receive one-on-one mentorship from DPI, climate, and business experts, and may qualify for support beyond the COP30. So that will include funding and proof of concept opportunities. Who's selecting the winners? We have a diverse selection committee with experts in DPI, DPGs, digital public goods, climate action, and innovation across sectors. So let me share more about the timelines. Next slide, please. So as you might know, applications are now open on DPI4PP.org. So I highly recommend to you all to visit the website. And we really encourage you to apply as early as possible. The final deadline to submit your application is July 11th. So please don't wait until the last minute. 2 things that are important after applications close. Of course, the review progress will begin, and we'll go through 2 evaluation rounds in August and in September. So basically, in round 1, we'll assess all submissions and we'll shortlist the best 30 to 50 proposals. Then in round 2, we'll select the 10 finalists who will receive feedback and support to refine their proposals. And as you can see, the journey through the challenge will be competitive but exciting. So let me share more about the winners. Next slide, please. So finally, in October, we'll select 5 winners who will be invited to showcase their solutions at COP30 this November in Belém, in Brazil. And we're seeing so far great energy and interest. So we're especially excited to see many strong ideas coming from different regions and the different countries that you are saying you're at. So I'm super excited to see this diversity from Africa, Asia, Latin America. And as you can see, this is an incredible opportunity to gain visibility, to secure support, to influence how digital innovation can drive climate action at a global level. So let me share more about the criteria at what the committee will evaluate. We'll be using 5 key criteria. The first one is the problem statement. Basically, we're trying to solve the question, is the climate-related problem clearly defined and grounded in real-world needs? So we're basically trying to find out the real problems that this solution is trying to solve. Second one is the solution overview. Does the idea present a compelling and innovative approach using digital public infrastructure and digital public goods? The third one is functionality and applicability. Basically, how well does this solution solve the problem and can be applied in practice? The fourth one is feasibility. Is the solution realistic given the context, particularly in the global south? So super excited to see many people coming from countries from the global south. And the fifth one is the team and the organization. So We're basically trying to evaluate the skills, the structure, and the experience that the team bring to the solution in particular. So these criteria will guide the selection process to ensure the most promising, impactful, and executive ideas moving forward. And now I'll hand it over to Dan because he's going to explain particularly the DPI side of the story and of this challenge. Thank you. Over to you, Dan.
Thank you, Aura. Hi all. So it will be great to start with this slide to understand what's the current understanding of DPI of this community in this call. So it will be great if you can just answer this question. Let's take 15 seconds. Because this is going to give me the pace on how to move forward. While you vote, I'm Dan Abadie from CDPI, the Center for Public DPI. It's a non-profit organization that we work with governments to help them adopt DPI. My voice is kind of tricky. I'm back in Argentina and talking about climate change. Winters here are really cold and cold and cold. And basically I came from Africa and now I get a cold. Also, Nagano-san, thank you for doing this so late at night in Tokyo. Okay, so just basically, awesome. So the idea for today is basically called super briefly what we're talking about DPI, especially focus on the climate side. So can we go to the next slide, please? So digital public infrastructure, it's now a term that has been settled during the 2023 presidency in India that now talks about like how to build an approach on how to build technology and digital transformation. It's based in 5 principles on how to design systems. Like it's based into interoperability, like things like design to be connected. It's has a minimalist approach. It's thinking about building blocks of Legos on how to not reinvent the wheel every time and try to have one thing that do one thing specific and good and then rebuilding things like that. I'm a former government employee. I used to be the chief digital officer for Argentina. And when I was in government, I fight a lot to avoid different ministries to create their own digital identity or their own, unique ID. And so the idea of minimalist. It has this idea of being diverse and having an integration with public and private. Again, it goes in that our lives, it's under cross through public and private every time. It's not just public and private. And to see how that innovation can happen, that, for example, you can have your digital identity that's set by the government, but then in the financial sector, they can use that digital identity to provide you, like, you can open a bank account through your phone. Like that crossover. It has an approach that is federated and decentralized, and this is like taking the best learnings from the internet industry. We went like for the first part of the century saying, no, let's centralize, but now we understand that decentralized and federated creates a better, a more powerful ecosystem, and also by design, taking in consideration security and privacy. And that idea is like, has basically that idea of, designing things from scratch about security and privacy, and all this is basically creating some principles to build things that scale from scratch. Can we go to the next slide, please? And there, when we talk about building blocks, there are 5 common building blocks that could be known as foundationals for DPI. There could be others, but for simplifying the discussion, we talk about identities and registries, we talk about payments, we talk about data sharing and credentials, and here we can talk about real-time data sharing or asynchronous data sharing. We talk about trust infrastructure, that could be digital signatures, that could be KPI, that could be consent. And then we talk about discovery and fulfillment of open protocols, APIs. And all of these become, things that when you can think about a system or a product, you can start seeing those building blocks that combine and you can scale them in different parts. And At the end of the day, if you think on a human-centered way of looking at DPI, it's basically who I am, what I have, and what I do. It's like, I'm Daniel, but also I could be a doctor, so I got that type of population. I can owe things, I can pay things, I can, you know, all that idea of using those building blocks and have that the abstraction. The next slide, please. And then there's also the discussion about digital public goods, DPGs. And the first thing, I'm gonna apologize on behalf of the community for adding these terms of DPI and DPGs, and everyone gets so confused on the idea. Digital public goods are products being led by different teams around the world that are most of the time open source, and they qualify to be a digital public good. Not all the open source projects are digital public goods, but most of the time, all the digital public goods are open source. Here are some, like if you see registries, you can see Digit, OpenCRSV, OpenSPP, Sunbird. There's some examples. There's some examples about identity, like Mosib is the biggest open source identity, but then you got like QuarkID that was created in the Buenos Aires city when we created like MyBA and now become a standard, or others. Or you can have like payments, like you got Mojaloop, Mifos, but by the way, Ed Cable, which is the CEO for Mifos, I think he's in the call, OpenGP, and you know, and others. And then you got data exchange, like you got XRow, that it's like a real-time data sharing, and like you can have things like OpenFN, that is a great tool. I'm super fan of OpenFN, like for automatization. It's a really nice tool to integrate different like building blocks. Like you can build all the connectors with minimal coding, like it's super nice. And these are like some technologies, like, and then you can go into the DPGA catalog, which is the Digital Public Good Alliance, where you can see all the different, you know, projects that have been certified as digital public goods. Let's go to the next slide, please. And please leave questions in the chat. I've seen Deborah's comments about US or Argentina. So potential approaches for the DPI4PP Innovation Challenge. So first could be like you can build on top of some DPIs, like for example, existing operational DPIs like Pix, which is the payment platform for Brazil, or CUSA, which is an open network. You can build things on top. Like you can design your products, your solution, and be connected using that DPI. Like, and that's where we, on the example of doing like public and private, you create something on the private sector, like the Pix infrastructure, which is being owned by the Central Bank of Brazil, and you can do like, payments or social benefits based on carbon credits or whatever idea you have. The other one, sorry, yeah, thank you. The other solution is like build a DPGs for DPI. It's like leveraging like any DPG for DPI and reuse that building blocks to do something like, you know, integrating Mojaloop and OpenSPP to do payments, or maybe taking off OpenFN and connecting, I don't know, a registry like OpenCRSV, that is basically civic registries with, or any type of registry like for, you know, rural population and farmers, and then create like, connect that into a type of verified credential using like Ingi or Quark or other type of solution. And the third one is creating a new DPG. It's like looking to the ecosystem and trying to fill in the blanks and saying, okay, this is a thing that is missing, like a building block. And again, I'm going back into building blocks. I'm saying this can help unlock some things that the other parts of the ecosystem is missing, and we end up rebuilding, and we can maybe create a building block of that. I think those are the three paths we see on DPI4PP. Next slide, please. So, climate is a broad topic. It's something we discuss with our, you know, colleagues around the world who lives in different areas about if there's sun or not sun, or the idea of carbon credits, which sometimes make things extremely far away. So part of this challenge is also being, anchor in the use case, like having something that you can touch. And here are some examples, like in energy, we can talk about credentialing for renewable credits, like verify credentials with a QR code that you can verify, and then you can, like, for example, tokenize. You can talk about like transport and talk about sustainable urban commuting and try to understand some solution to that. You can talk about, digital forest health monitoring. Like, for example, in Brazil, they have a platform called CAR, which is like the rural environmental registry, where they basically map all the protected land in Brazil, including the Amazon, and they have very clear where deforestation happens, where it doesn't, where rural population are needed to forest again, like those things. Like, then you can cross it again with like disaster relief. Like, for example, if you see things now happening like in the Caribbean, where the hurricane season has really started, there's a huge opportunity to create things for that region. The same thing for water management, public health, or cross-cutting, and everything that you can think. And something that is not here but comes to my mind is cross-border, like how we can see, because climate is a global thing. Also, you can think about cross-border solutions for regions and not just for a country. We can go to the next slide, please. So if I double click in some of the examples, here are some ways to explain it. Like renewal, as I was saying, energy certificates, it's like trying to issue certificates, like using a building blocks that is data sharing and credentials. You can use a wallet like Inchi or others, and create like the issuer, the holder, or who holds the data, and verify, who verifies the data. The same thing happens like for aid for disasters, like, delivering aid to vulnerable populations. You can use registries, you can use payments, you can use like a GIS platform for mapping things. There you can integrate like with things like Aadhaar, if this is India, right? And using G2P payment or OpenSPP, like for cash transfers in that part. And these are different examples. I think you can get the idea where we're trying to go. And I'm gonna go to the next slide, and maybe then when we go to the QR, we can narrow the discussion of what the ideas you have. Adia.
Thanks a lot, Dan. Thanks, Aura. So I think we have broadly covered the first two parts of the agenda we wanted to cover. We already have a lot of questions, so we will sort of move through them sequentially. But my request to participants is that please continue to add your questions, and in case you have questions in your regional language, we have Dan and Nora who can answer your questions in the regional language as well. So feel free to put your questions in the chat window. Meanwhile, I'll start taking the questions in the order they were asked in the chat window. Yeah. So the first question is from Hiranisa, and he is asking is, when we talk about DPI combined with climate and sustainability, is it possible that we propose a system developed by non-profit organizations for wider network across the country? Absolutely. Any system that this system falls within the scope as long as it's designed with the DPI principles, and it doesn't matter whether it's a non-profit organization or is it for-profit organization or if it's an academic institution. The only criteria is that it needs to be a registered entity and your solution needs to be aligned with DPI approach. So that is the only criteria. What level of funding and TRL influence will impact acceptance? So we are open to both early stage companies as well as well-funded companies. Both are equally welcome to apply for the challenge. So there is no hard constraint on whether well-funded companies can only apply for this challenge. What is the expected success rate for the applications? Like Aura mentioned in the beginning of the session, right? We will start with a large pool of applicants, and that will essentially come down to a 30 to 50 number after the first phase of evaluation. But post that the 30-50 will go to 10 and then to 5. So to answer your question, given it's a global challenge, there is high competition, but at the same time, once you make it the make it the cut to the top 30 to 50, you will get the right level of mentorship and support you know, to further refine your solutions and, you know, be successful with your ideas. I want to ask, the innovation climate challenge can be in the project. For example, challenge in poultry farm climate change challenge. Yes, so, you know, we are not limiting ourselves to any one particular area within, you know, climate. So the challenge is about people and planet. So, you know, as far as, you know, your problem statement is well defined, it's aligned to DPI principles, and you are coming from a legally registered entity, you know, you can pick any use case and you can participate in this challenge. How many participants from the team traveled to COP30 in Brazil? The exact number of participants sponsored to travel for the event in COP30 hasn't been specified yet. We will obviously communicate this later on during the later stages of this challenge. How strict is your definition of DPI? So, you know, basically your solution should be aligned to, so Dan talked about the 5 core principles of DPI, right? Your solution should at least align to one of those principles of DPI for it to be an eligible solution for this challenge. So we don't have a very hard definition for DPI, so that, you know, it should tick 2 boxes or 3 boxes out of the 5 principles which Dan talked about, but essentially it should align to at least one of those principles. What sort of support will team get once they make it through the first round? So like Aura mentioned, right, once you make it through the first round, you will be getting, you know, in the first round you will be getting group mentorship, wherein, you know, experts from different areas, from climate, from DPI will come to, you know, work with you to actually refine your solution. Once you make it to the second round, you will get one-on-one mentorship support from, you know, experts in DPI and climate. So once you make it to the top 30 to 50 innovators, you will get, you know, a lot of support from diverse experts in climate and DPI space. Will this webinar be available online after the session? Absolutely. We already had one other webinar on 24th of June. That's already live on our website, DPI4PP.org. So you can refer to, you know, our website for the recording of this session as well. We have again similar question. Is it important to apply all the 5 elements of DPI for the new solution? Like we mentioned, no, it's not necessary to apply all the 5 elements. Using one of the elements is fine. The only thing is that you need to have a very clear problem you are going after, and it should be aligned to DPI principles, such that at least one of the principles is applied in your solution approach. Dan, Aura, feel free to pick any questions from the chat window or from the Excel if you want to answer. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I can take the one that, can we propose generative AI for this call? Yeah, again, as I think you said, it's basically you need to define the use case, the building block, and then think about it. The idea of pushing forward an innovation challenge is that you can think out of the box. You have many definitions of, you know, there's some different definition of DPI. If you see World Bank, Gates, us, they're trying to also this idea of minimalist and public-private and building on one thing and scaling, and it's that view. It's like it's not thinking of a vertical. It's like, because our mind and set are set to be working and operating in horizontal. It's that approach of saying, okay, how we can unblock climate into multiple pieces, the climate problem into multiple pieces, and do one thing and one thing right, and maybe that build on top of that.
Yeah. There is a question. Yes, sorry. Go.
I'm seeing a couple of questions that might be connected in terms of like someone asking about open source. There was like someone asking if things connected to open data might be relevant for this challenge. And one thing is like, of course, like the DPI definition that you already mentioned in terms of like open standards, trust. I think that you might have like some good definitions about DPGs in terms of like solutions that try to solve the agenda, the 2030 agenda, like SDGs. And I'm seeing some of the examples related to climate change. And there are like actually some DPGs that are like open data tools. So just to say that one, I highly recommend to see the DPG definition and the DPG standard, because that might work if you're like just having those type of doubts. There are like many DPGs that are like open data tools and solutions. And the second question's more in terms of open source. I would suggest to look at open standards, trust, scalability. Of course, like DPI has like an important basis about open source, but I would have like a larger definition more in terms of open standards. But Aditya, you already said that, but it's just because I saw two questions related to that point.
Got it. No, thanks a lot, Aura. There is another question in the window. Is the application open already? So yeah, our applications went live on 18th of June. And I would urge all the participants to actually start, their application process, so that, you don't wait for the 11th June deadline. So please, right after this call, maybe you can start applying. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to answer like the question if our solution is selected but cannot be fully open source, example due to proprietary tools models, can complement still qualify as DPGs? So proprietary software is not a DPG by definition, but because you have free tracks, maybe you can build on top of an existing DPI with your proprietary solution, and that's fine.
There is a question on, can we collaborate with other countries and apply together? Absolutely. The only criteria is you need to be a registered entity. As far as you are a registered entity, you are open to, sort of apply, even if the team members are from different countries. Hello, are these the only areas under climate, or any other solution related to sustainability are also welcome? So, as you understand from the name for the challenge, right? DPI for people and planet. So we have tried to keep the definition very broad here. Your solution can be coming from any area, but not limited to energy, transport, forest, biodiversity, agriculture, disaster resilience, water, public health, and even cross-cutting topics. So it's not just, limited to just climate in absolute sense, but a broader umbrella of different themes which fall under the blanket of people and planet. So there is a question on how we supposed to answer this question in the application form. So there is a question in the application form regarding describing any support you are seeking over the next 12 to 24 months and why this challenge interests you. So first of all, this question is from an optional section, so it's not evaluative. We just want to understand from you, across broader group of participants, what sort of support they actually need, so that when we start planning for the mentorship phase, we actually know what sort of support you need. So hence we had asked this question. This question is not evaluative, so no pressure in terms of giving any one type of answer for this question. There appears to be an emphasis on projects focused in Global South. What is your recommendations to those submitting projects not in Global South to ensure visibility? So while there is a focus on getting applications from the Global South, in fact the challenge is open to the entire set of countries globally. In fact, we have a lot of applications coming from Europe, Neymar, and we actually welcome applications coming from any country, while we are specifically focusing on the Global South. But there would not be any sort of filtering or any sort of bias towards applications coming from the Global South. For solutions already presented in international events, is this still open? Yes, very much so. And if you have already built some prototypes and all, so that's even more helpful. So yeah, even if you have presented your solutions in any other global challenges or international events, you are more than welcome to also participate in this. So there is another question regarding the application form. Indicate the current funding stage of your organization that could be leveraged for this solution. And this is specifically for being asked for, what kind of document can we upload for research lab institutions and organizations. So for research labs or institutions, you can upload a grant letter or a funding contract or a university support letter or any document which currently shows that you have a current research funding from an institutional backing. I think that sort of a document would be helpful to understand what is your current funding level. There is again a question on definition of DPI. I think Dan has explained or has explained. We don't want to stick all the five. There is no hard criteria on sticking to all the 5 pillars of DPI, but you just need to make sure that your solution approach aligns with at least one of the pillars of DPI.
Can I answer one in Spanish?
Sure.
To Marcela Aparicio. Okay, Marcela, she's asking, we'd like to know if these are requisite technologies to be open source to apply. Our case, our technology is not, our methodology is open, replicable. Hola, Marcela. No necesariamente, de vuelta, hay 3 carriles en los cuales ustedes pueden desarrollar sus productos. O tiene una aplicación que es propietaria y no es 100% completa open source y se conecta a un servicio DPI, que puede ser la identidad digital de un país, el sistema de pagos de un país o algún tipo de dataset o servicio en la nube. O tienen una herramienta open source que se construye o construyen con las herramientas propietarias valor arriba de un DPG. Toman una herramienta como un bien público digital y a eso le agregan su herramienta propietaria que escale y expanda el DPG. Esa es una opción. Y la tercera, que en realidad no aplicaría según tu definición, es desarrollar un DPG ustedes, un bien público digital, porque ahí sí necesariamente tiene que ser de código abierto. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Dan. There's a question on, do you accept startups who are at the idea stage with no prototype or the focus is well established, or the focus is on well established startups? So in fact, we welcome idea stage startups as well. You don't need to have a prototype right now, but eventually, once you make it through the top 30 to 50 top innovators, we will work with you in phase 2 to actually build a prototype. Yeah. So can the solution proposed built on an existing DPI solution? In fact, when Dan walked us through the 3 approaches, one of the first approach was to actually leverage an existing DPI to actually build on top of it. So definitely, a solution which are building on top of existing DPI solutions are more than welcome. Is there any emphasis on cross-cutting solutions? So no, I mean, there is cross-cutting is one of the categories within the wide umbrella of people and planet use cases, but you can also focus on one very specific use case and solve for it. So there is no sort of emphasis on getting into cross-cutting solutions. Apart from sponsorship, mentorship, and advisory, what budgetary supports is given to the selected interventions and for how long? Yeah. So if you make it to the top 5 innovators, there are monetary grants up to $100,000 that you will basically leverage to actually put legs on your solution, build prototypes and test it out in the market. So there is a budgetary support for the top 5 innovators. There is also support to top 10 innovators also in terms of helping them build the prototype for their solutions, the details of which will be shared in due time and course over the course of this challenge. can we have a solution that includes more than one area like forest and biodiversity and agriculture? Absolutely. Cross-cutting is one of the themes, one of the sort of the themes under which you can sort of have your solution. So yeah, if your use case cuts across different areas like forest, biodiversity and agriculture, we totally welcome such solutions as well. Define what type of climate solutions are you looking for. Like I explained, like our definition for the solutions is pretty wide and open. Within the people and planet umbrella, the solutions can be from different areas such as energy, transport, forest and diversity, agriculture, disaster resilience, water, public health. So there is a wide area from where you can actually build a solution. It's not specifically focused on just climate. Is this application open for profit? Absolutely. For profit, non-profit, academic institution, the only criteria is you need to be a registered entity to participate in this challenge. Will the 5 winners be given 100K each or share the amount? No, each of the top 5 winners, the top innovators, they will get $100,000 each to actually build and scale their solutions. And this doesn't, like Nagano-san was mentioning earlier, this doesn't stop here, right? The top 5 innovators will also get continued support beyond the COP30. To actually build this solution. We are already mobilizing a large network of partners. You will get access to those partners, network partners too. They can help you, tune your solutions. They can help you scale your solutions. So yeah, you will be getting, up to $100,000 for each participant. Are projects related to AI in agriculture be feasible for the connection? Yes, but there needs to be certain element of DPI in any solution you are proposing. So yeah, we welcome solutions which are at intersection of AI and agriculture, but yes, there needs to be certain DPI element in it. Can one entity submit multiple applications? Sorry, Dan, you were saying something. Yeah.
No, just to clarify about the AI. Yes, you need to connect the AI, the LLM or the generative AI to a building block. Like that's or DPC and try to then, needs to be transactional. So you cannot build like a AI that give you tips about, things. I think that's the way. But or maybe think about a great way, like say, okay, maybe AI thing could solve this use case. This is missing, and we can use here's a building block that you can use AI to, I don't know, issue whatever, carbon credits, new maps. Think that idea of it's not about the AI, it's about the thing you're trying to solve, maybe with AI.
Yes. No, thanks a lot, Dan, for pointing that. I think one of the key advice for the participants is to first have a very sharp, well-defined problem statement. And then the technical solution, the technical approach, how do you integrate DPI, that comes later on. You need to have a very sharp, use case focused, well-defined problem statement to begin with. I think we have answered a lot of questions. We also have just 4 minutes left. So, there might be certain questions which you still have or haven't been answered. So I would request you to send all those questions to our mailbox info@dpi4pp.org, and we will aim to resolve your queries within 24-hour window. Apart from that, there are few key next steps. I would request you to keep an eye on DPI4PP website and also CDPI DPI wiki for DPI related resources. We are putting together curated list of resources for you to help to navigate the complex DPI DPG landscape. So keep an eye on these resources. Also follow our LinkedIn page because we post there regularly, and all the updates related to challenge would be posted there. And last but not the least, I request all of you to actually start the applications. Applications are already live. They've been live since 18th of June. We want to avoid the last minute rush. There are, a lot of applications which are coming in. So please start your applications today. And please don't forget to hit the submit button on the application portal. Unless you hit the submit button, the application is not submitted. So please start your applications and don't forget to actually hit the submit button. I think with this, we can actually conclude the session. Really happy to see the diversity of the group today. More than 100 participants joined us. And, as I earlier mentioned, while we may not be able to solve or answer all your queries, please feel free to reach to us at info@dpi4pp.org, and we'll make sure your query is addressed there. And really looking forward to see all of you, great applications in next couple of weeks, and meeting few of you in over the due course of the challenge. I would like to thank Aura, Nagano-san, Dan, and Saibal for joining this session and helping the participants. Thanks a lot everyone for joining, and have great rest of the day.
Thank you all. Bye bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.